I don't think that community building is really something that exists in France, just because it's not in their DNA. France is very oriented around your social status and your current job. So when you meet someone within the workplace, you are your job and your company, right? In New York City, they really look at your skills and your background and personality rather than defining you by a single title.
Should I speak up or should I not? I guess it's not a question anymore, and founders should be bold and come up front and showcase their product.
Call them like members, users, customers. At the end of the day, being able to maintain those relationships with people who use your product every single day and can be a champion and talk about it and be ambassadors is key. Tech industry is very male dominated. I've seen firsthand what it's like to be the only woman in the room, and it's not always easy. I was very naive.
What is this kind of bullshit? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
What are you doing? You're making a terrible mistake. This is crazy.
Welcome to the fourth episode of the First Time CEO podcast. My guest today is Marion Siboni, the founder and CEO of Creme de la STEM, a global private network supporting early-stage female founders in STEM. She built a community of 4,000 female founders in just a year and has a decade of experience working with tech leaders. Marion earned multiple awards for partnership skills and collaborates with the U.S. Department of Commerce. We discussed how to foster lasting networks and create supportive ecosystems around your brand, the power of sharing genuine journey to attract opportunities, leveraging connections for guidance and building partnerships that matter, investing in a quality support system vs trying to do it yourself, how tools like CRMs and AI-driven marketing can streamline operations, and more. And with that said, I invite you to join us.
Hi everyone, this is the First Time CEO podcast and I'm your host Victoria. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Olympia. We provide entrepreneurs with AI teams. And if you would like to streamline your operations, I will leave our link below and you can book a demo with me directly if you like. And we're gonna dive right in and I'm gonna introduce you to my guest today. Hi Marion, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good, and you?
I'm great. I'm ecstatic to have you today and talk about your project and your life in New York.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for our conversation.
Okay, tell me what roads brought you from Paris to New York?
Yeah, absolutely. So my husband got a job opportunity in New York City, so we were living in Paris. I lived in France my entire life, and he had this opportunity to come to the US. So we made the decision to move to New York City, and it was back in September 2022, so almost 2.5 years already.
What do you think about it, and how is it different from Paris in terms of community building?
Yeah, it's very different. I think the mindset, around work is completely different in France versus in the US. What was interesting for me is that I worked for American companies pretty much my entire career. So it was interesting to come, but I was working for American companies but in France. So it was interesting for me to move here and get a better understanding of the culture, even though I had a good understanding. Just being completely immersed was completely different. So I don't think that community building is really something that exists in France, just because it's not in their DNA of people to even call themselves community builders. I learned that term when I moved here because I built a community for a global nonprofit and I scaled it from 0 to 6,000 members in just a year and a half. And I didn't know I was building community. France is more around, it's more like casual. We don't We have like friends. I think like also the big difference between friends in the US is also around the definition of friendship. In America, anyone can be your friend, and it's more someone that is friendly. But in France, when you call someone a friend, only after you interact with that person many times, and then you can call that person your friend. And it's kind of like a for life, or at least for long term kind of thing. So yeah, lots of big differences, I would say.
What was the main one?
I think the main difference is when it comes to building relationship. France is very oriented around your social status and your current job. So when you meet someone within the workplace, you are your job and your company, right? So but here in the US, and that's something that surprised me as well, is that when I moved here, I thought I needed to have like a job and a title, which is also why I started this New York City chapter for this global nonprofit, because I thought it would give me like some sort of title, and it would be just easier to introduce myself as New York City chapter director rather than just being me. But then I realized that actually people here, at least in New York City, they really look at your skills and your background and at you as a character, as a personality, rather than defining you by a single title. So that was like a really, really interesting difference, and I really appreciate that.
Tell me about your career that led to starting La Creme de la STEM.
Yes, so I graduated from a business school in France, in the north of France. And during my studies, I was exposed to the tech world through internships. So my very first internship was in a startup, actually, a really small startup at the time that then got acquired by a much bigger company like later down the line. And I also work at eBay and at Le Parisien, which is a newspaper. I was working on the online version of that newspaper in partnerships. So I got exposed to the tech world through this digital marketing aspect of things, and then I also landed some great programs where I was finalizing my master. I got selected by Google to go to Dublin. They were only selecting like 3% of the EMEA students, so that was great. I got to spend 3 days fully immersed in the Google headquarters in Dublin with a lot of other people coming from all over Europe. That was really, really cool. From all over EMEA, actually, because I remember we had someone that was coming from South Africa, so quite a long way. I also went through a similar program with IBM, 3 days, completely immersed in their headquarters in the Netherlands this time, in Amsterdam. So all those experiences really led me to just keep going in the tech world. I love the tech industry because it's evolving like constantly, faster and faster those days. But there is also always something going on, and I just love that. I love that I have to continuously learn about the new trends. Yeah, everything is constantly changing, and that's really why I love the tech world so much. So after that experience, those short-term programs or internships, then my first job was at Cisco. I was a sales and account manager, so I stayed there for 3 years and a half. I went through a graduate program that is a very demanding program, very selective, where I got to learn about the technical and sales aspects of the job for 3 months, non-stop, so just learning. And then I was paired with someone more senior to understand how the job is getting done. That was really great. A good sales academy, I would say. I learned a lot, and then after 3.5 years, I decided I wanted to do something else. In 2019, I decided to go for a startup, which you have to imagine, France is not a country where startups are normal, right? It is more and more, but back in 2019, everyone was like, "What are you doing? You're making a terrible mistake. This is crazy." And I was like, "No, it's fine. I'm doing like a I'm taking a risk, but this is a calculated risk because I joined this startup post Series B. So there were already like 150 people. It was not a small startup with like just 3 people or 10 or 20. It was like quite relatively big already. But for France, it was, very very new. This world was very new to me. I didn't know anyone that was working in the startup world. It was just completely different. And I really enjoyed it. I stayed there for 2.5 years. I was an account executive, and then I got promoted as a director of partnerships, and I handled the Microsoft partnership at a global scale. So I scaled it from 0 to 24 countries. I worked on channel marketing, product integration, sales enablement, sales, like you name it, I did it all. So that was kind of like a startup inside a startup, which was really fun. It was during the pandemic as well when I landed that role, so I had to do everything remotely, which saved me a lot of travel time. I got to work with like anyone in the world, Japan, USA, Australia, UK, and so on, but just from my apartment in Paris. So I was like a little bit, disappointed that I didn't get to travel, but yeah. And then I joined MongoDB as a senior partner manager, and I was working with the sales team to secure business opportunities coming from Google, AWS, Azure, system integrators like Capgemini, Accenture, like a lot of different players. And then my husband got that opportunity, so I stepped down from my role, moved to the US, started a new life, built that community that I mentioned through in-person panels. I did that until May last year, so May 2024. Parallel to that, I landed a role at Techstars as a director of sales and partnerships. So there's a great experience for me to get exposed with early stage founders, get to understand what it takes to become an entrepreneur, and seeing the passion. That was really inspiring. So at some point I thought it was like kind of the right time for me to start my own company, La Creme de la Stem. And what I do now is that I combine like all my experience and all those different expertise that shaped me so far to share with the female founders. So La Creme de la Stem is the only private global community for early stage female founders in tech and science.
So tell me all about it. How do you help early stage female founders, and why did you go only for female founders?
Yes, so I think that it's a number that everyone knows, like 2% of VC capital goes to women. It hasn't changed, right? In like the past 10 years, I think that the last number that I've seen in PitchBook that was released like 2 weeks ago is like 1.8%. So it's actually going down. So female founders definitely need support and all the help they can get. You're coming from the world, the technical world, the tech industry is very male dominated. So I've seen firsthand what it's like to be the only woman in the room, and it's not always easy. It's not something I anticipated either when I first started to work. I thought it was something from the past. I never had to deal with that in my entire life. I was very naive, and I also saw firsthand what it's like to be a female founder and how difficult it can be, because you have to believe in yourself, you have to be resilient, you have to be also comfortable with something that is not 100% done. And I just have like a passion for creating safe space for women and bringing them knowledge through this giant network that I built since I moved here, and even tapping in my previous experiences, right? So that's why I wanted to establish something dedicated to female founders. And the way I support them is through live sessions with VCs to demystify the investing process. So I'm all about creating a safe space. This is really what it's about. Like, the point is not to pitch to an investor. The point is, how do you talk to an investor, and how do you get this kind of knowledge directly from someone that is doing that every single day? It's better to get it directly from a VC rather than experience it yourself and then make all those mistakes and not knowing how to follow up or how to talk to an investor or how to create momentum. Like, everything that comes into fundraising can be very overwhelming, very daunting, and there is only a few ways to learn. Either you do it on your own and you just try to schedule those meetings on your own and you learn as you go, but you lose a lot of time. Or you have a friend that already went through it or is working in that industry that can support you. But if you don't have that, if you don't have that support system, that's really what I want to bring. Like talking to investors. Like I moderate all the conversations around a fireside chat so we can demystify the investing process. So that's one pillar. Then the second pillar is to talk about the journey of exited entrepreneurs and more generally expert in their field. There, for example, I interviewed an exited entrepreneur with also one of my advisor who achieved to sell his company in just 10 months since the first day they launched a website to the sale. So that's the kind of story that you don't always hear in the media. I mean, you will hear the big headline like, oh, he did that in just 9 months.
What did it take to actually do that? Like, what is like the background of that entrepreneur? What is the secret sauce they use or not? Like, what are the lesson they learned along the way? What are the things they kept doing even if it didn't work out? So all these kind of like messages that it's really hard to get when you scroll on Instagram or LinkedIn or you just read like the newspaper. You always hear the shiny story, but you never got a chance to like sit down with those people for like an hour and hear really how they did it. So that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm doing already with existing entrepreneurs in my network. I also have interviews with experts in their field, whether they are go-to-market expert or influencers, anything that can bring knowledge and value to the female founders. That's really my focus. And then the third pillar is perks and discount from corporate partners. Being a female founder myself, it's really difficult to know, what lawyer to get, what CPA to get, like what is a good HR software to manage your payroll, like all these kind of things that can be super overwhelming and takes a lot of time if you're not in the industry. So it's all about, finding the shortcuts and making sure that I can simplify the life of those entrepreneurs while fostering a community where everyone understands the power of the network and everyone is collaborating and supporting each other.
Wow, what a journey, first of all. I'm like in awe, and it's pretty intense. You're like just like a badass woman, ass like hey. So, except fundraising that you mentioned, what challenges and fears female founders face today, and how do you help them overcome them?
Well, I think that's the biggest challenge is the amount of information that you have to deal with when you're a founder. Like, everyone wants to give you advice, and a lot of people out there, it's kind of a jungle. They really are trying to take advantage of funders because it's kind of an easy target, and there's like a lot of bad advice. Like, I got bad advice myself. Like, I got bad advice about accelerators from someone that never went through an accelerator, and that was giving me lessons about what I should and shouldn't do with accelerators. And I was like, I worked at Techstars. Like, thank you. I know what an accelerator is, and it kept going. And I was like, this is insane. Like, you're giving me a lesson. You never worked for an accelerator. You didn't go through an accelerator. You obviously don't know what it is because the way he was talking about it was like
oh my God, when I was started Olympia, I met this woman. She exited and then she wanted to be consultant for startups. So she met me, and in the first 15 or 10 minutes of our chat, she's like, it's never going to work. You're never going to succeed. And I'm like, so that's how you gonna consult startup founders? And here we are 2 years after that, everything works. And I was like, what is this kind of bullshit? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, let's stop this meeting.
yeah, for sure. I think that's a lot when you start a company. Like, a lot of people are, they will tell you, oh, it already exists. So there's already someone doing it. Yeah, I mean, of course there is, otherwise there wouldn't be a market for it. It's actually a huge red flag when there is no competitor. So yeah, completely agree with you. Like the fact that you get exposed to, I would say, predators in a sense that are just going after you for their own ego or for their own business. It's not good. So yeah, which is really why I everything I share on the platform with the female founders is like always vetted. And when it's not, I tell them.
That makes sense. That really makes sense when you don't wanna be a fool in the ecosystem and everyone's like, oh, Marion shared something that is so that is so bad. Like it's not a good way to develop the community for sure. What are the recent tendencies in STEM startup ecosystem, and what do VCs and investors are interested in today?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. We are in a time where things are very uncertain. So obviously AI is like still a buzzword. I was reading an article today about the valuation of, I think Anthropic raised another, I don't even know how much they raised, but like it's kind of crazy. Like the valuation are through the roof. But it's still like definitely something where investors are investing in. I see a lot happening around women healthcare. I think AI and healthcare are a good combination, and the fact that it's so privatized in the US and that the government doesn't want to invest in that, it's giving like a lot of opportunities for the private sector. So I've been seeing like a lot of investment those days around women in healthcare, which is great. And then deep tech, again, related to the elections, related to the fact that Elon Musk is very close to the president, and yeah, there is like a lot happening around this deep tech or defense tech, space tech. I think the right word is frontier tech, like going through those new frontiers, right? Crypto is also part of frontier tech. Crypto just crashed back in 2023, and it's having another moment. I don't know where it's gonna go, but definitely the election are having an impact in the VC world, at least on the short term. Again, there is so much uncertainty nowadays, whether it's from a political standpoint or between the geopolitical state of the world plus the rise of AI. We are living in a really, really uncertain time. So who knows what the next few months are going to look like.
But you learn in a while. You kind of learn, and you have to be flexible and adaptable to whatever is happening with the politics or economics or your business or the ecosystem itself. So that's definitely important. DEI is a known problem among founders. How do you contribute to solving that, and are there any shifts towards improvement, and how do you help that happen?
Yeah, that's a big question. I'm trying to make my part of the job by supporting those female entrepreneurs, and the way I do it is also through fostering an ecosystem of men and women supporting those female founders. So all the guest speakers I have in my network that I mentioned, like the VCs, the existing entrepreneurs, the go-to-market experts, corporate partners, and so on, it's men and women. I don't do any distinction. I just look at the journey and what they can bring to the community and if they are happy to contribute. So obviously it's easier to get women supporting that movement, but there's a lot of men that are very open to it. So it's really not an issue. I think it's about also having more role models. Like the more we're going to hear about female founders, the more inspiring it's going to be, and the more future female founders will be able to go through that path as well. So definitely being a role model is really important, and that's something I'm lucky to be in a sense, because I got like a lot of media coverage. I have a newsletter where I share my take on entrepreneurship, community building, and women's stories. I'm really visible on LinkedIn. So and I get like a lot of positive messages. Like I don't have any hater. I hope I won't ever have.
You just don't know.
Yeah. So I don't want to talk too fast, but for now I only get like positive messages of people reaching out to me on LinkedIn. So yeah, I think it's about being visible and then speaking up.
Speaking up is a big one. Yeah, because you're full of fear sometimes, and you're like, should I speak up or should I not? But I guess it's not a question anymore, and founders should be like bold and come up front and declare their existence and their personality, and then showcase their product. How do you monetize your community? Who pays who, and how does it work?
I'm making revenue through membership fees, so I have a cost every month with a yearly commitment with funding members. So I'm also starting relatively small because I want to take my time to onboard the funding members, make sure they understand what the community is about, make sure I build trust. So it's really important for me that they are, comfortable in talking to me, kind of like a friend rather than a service provider. So I really make my best to establish this kind of connections. And then it's easier for me as well. The more I know them, the more I get to customize my content for them, and the more connections I can make between each of them. So that's what I'm spending a lot of time doing those days, making sure that they understand the full value and take full advantage of the community, and tag them and interact with them outside of the community. I really want to focus on building my business because fundraising takes time. I'm fully bootstrapped, and I want to keep that way so I can really focus on the customers.
You are great at partnerships, as I see. And I've been in media partnerships myself for a while. So first question is, you are in so many outlets, like your PR, like shooting all over, and like he's there and there in that outlet, in that magazine. And is it that you studied PR, or you've done it before? Do you have the contact base of journalists, and how do you do that?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. No, it's all organic, it's all inbound, which is crazy. I do not have any knowledge of like PR. I just did it like very naturally and really authentically. My very first feature was actually in one podcast I recorded like maybe 2 years ago, talking about my journey, and it was just with someone that I met at an event. And then, so that was like my very first podcast ever. And then the first written interview I had was for a French magazine, and I got the introduction to them because I used to work with them when I was working at MongoDB. They were one of the preferred partner I was working with, and my point of contact there was a partner manager. He just followed my journey on LinkedIn. Like, we haven't had been in touch for like a year or 2 years even, and then one day he reached out to me. I was like, hey, I love what you're doing. I've been following your journey with this community that you built, and I have someone in my team that is doing portraits of women, so we would love to interview you. So I was like, oh my god, this is incredible, like I can't believe it's happening. And the article, it's in French, but the way it was written was like really, really crazy, like very flattering. I got booked as a speaker for the US Department of Commerce. And the reason why and how it happened is because I did an event with a friend around the different market in the US, France, and Canada. And one of the speakers was working for the US Department of Commerce. So she was not directly in charge of this event, but she had some coworkers, and so we had like some connections just to prepare the event. And then she reached out to me, and we had coffee, and then she was like, you would be an amazing speaker, like let me connect you with my colleagues and see where it goes. And yeah, so everything happened to me really organically, but because I managed to build a brand and really tap into personal branding heavily, like I'm really good at LinkedIn posts. That's not something I spent a ton of time before starting my company, but I was always good at like spinning the information in a way that is like hooking people. And I think then there is also the underdog story, like coming from France and starting from scratch and breaking in VC and building a community from scratch, like all those things are really contributing to my personal branding. And then my background is in business development, so I'm used to sell, I would say. So I got to sell myself and just highlight and the key points in my background Yeah, and that's what generated like all those articles. And then once you start doing it, it's just like the podcast. Like I did like one podcast and then the second one, and now I have like a constant interviews. So it's great. I really appreciate that. I'm really really grateful.
I feel like a lot is going on in around you, and you're always in motion.
Yeah.
And it boosts even me right now to like go and be badass. So I feel how your community members feel too, I guess. I can relate, and I can understand. Well, another question is, what tools, what software your founders in your community are looking for, are seeking to help them develop their startup?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the main tool I'm using is definitely the CRM. I use HubSpot for startups. That's also something that female founders have access to. I also have a partnership with Salesforce. Due to my background, I'm really good at tracking things and making sure I have all those numbers and have a good understanding of all the different aspects of the business. So the CRM is definitely a good way to track that. I think that the rise of AI is definitely something that everyone wants to tap into. Like I was actually just looking yesterday at some articles, listening to some podcasts to know what AI can help me just do my job better, because there is just so much happening and it's hard to know what is a replica of ChatGPT just with a better prompt and what is actually going to help you do things in a better way and be just a better CEO.
Yeah, better executor and do your job faster.
Yeah, exactly. Then I think like everything that is like around sales and marketing when you start a business is really key. So on the sales part, I'm good. I have my background. I know how to do it. But from my personal experience and what I see around the community as well is in terms of marketing, how to create content, repurpose content. A lot of questions I have is like, should I be on all the social media? Should I be on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and so on? And I did a presentation for my community around that, and I said, no, you have to pick one channel because you cannot be everywhere. It becomes a full-time job, and if it's not your job, you really have like a really high learning curve. So, for example, I'm not good on Instagram. Like I'm not on Instagram myself as an individual. I have a company account, but I never use it. I did it for like maybe 1 week. I was posting stories and then I was like, I'm done. So it's okay. I think it's about finding like the right channel that what works for you and then double down on that. So in my case, I'm looking at tools to help me within LinkedIn. And I know there are like a lot of tools out there, but I'm trying to narrow down my research through AI marketing and LinkedIn and try to find a tool that I can leverage easily. So I think those two aspects, sales and marketing, are definitely something where all founders need help.
I'm the co-founder and CEO of Olympia. We provide entrepreneurs with AI teams. If you would like to streamline your operations, I will leave our link below and you can book a demo with me directly. How do you feel in the first-time CEO chair and what challenges have you experienced so far?
So the challenges that I have, similar to what I say, like, I'm very good at sales, but how can I fast track that? How can I find support around marketing? It's really like my number one priority those days. The other challenges that I have or that I had and that I overcome is picking the right providers. Picking your lawyer, picking a CPA, and also I think just understand like what is important for me and what do I want to put my money versus where I want to do savings. I know that a lot of startups incorporate their business through Stripe because they have like some sort of automation where you just pay less than $1,000 versus going to a lawyer that will charge you $2,000 or more. I decided to go through a lawyer because I'm really I don't want to spend money. I don't want to be cheap when it comes to having the right legal structure and making sure everything is in order. Same thing with the CPA. Like I don't want to find the cheapest CPA. I want to find a good deal, right? But I don't want to find like the cheapest option. I want to find something where I know I can have the answers and things are done on time, and I'm really clear. I understand what's going on. So I think that's one of the big challenges where when you start being a first-time CEO is like, where do I want to spend time? What do I need to understand really deeply? What do I need to understand a little bit that is like enough to have a conversation? So for me, it would be like legal and accounting. Like I don't want to become an accountant, but I still want to have like some sort of understanding of what is needed, because I want to, when I talk to CPA, I want to be able to understand what we're talking about, and just not just being like completely blind, not knowing what's going on, because it's too important for me. Yeah, that's really important for me to be very structured around those things, and then just knowing like where you don't want to spend time and you don't need to, and how can you find someone that can do the job for you. And I think that last part is very, very difficult, because as a CEO, you have to do a lot. And sometimes, some days I'm like, I can do everything, and I will spend my time trying to understand this legal structure. I will spend my time trying to understand what taxes I need to fill up, or even try to fill up on my own. And some days I'm like, I just want to pay someone who's gonna do just like the heavy lift. So it's always a balance, and it's not always easy to find the right providers, and knowing where is your limit. Like, how much do you need to be or an expert on, or not. So for me, that's the biggest challenge.
So you are a solopreneur, or you have a team?
I'm a solopreneur.
You just hire contractors to help you with the business, right?
Yeah, so I had an intern. I think when you also hire, you have to know what you want those people to do. So it's also something, right? Contractors won't come with a strategy. They will come to execute your vision. So I did hire someone that helped me with like the sales ops. So set up some automations, some trackings. So I got help there. And then I'm very scrubby, so I try to do a lot of things myself and just try to find those shortcuts. I tap a lot in my network for that, which is also why I'm building this community, because you just have so much time when you just ask around. Like my lawyer was someone that I used to work with when I was at Techstars. And so when I started my company, I just texted him. I was like, hey, I'm starting my company and I need help. I don't know what legal structure to choose. Can we work together? So that was like super easy for me. Maybe I spent probably like less than 5 minutes thinking about about that. But when it comes to, like the CPA, I spent a lot of hours trying to find the right person. I also ask around a lot, but even when you ask around, people are not always reactive or responsive, or they don't know exactly what a C corp is. Like, some CPAs are good at LLC, some have like different knowledge. So yeah, so it's not always easy.
So we've mentioned and we talked about PR, speaking engagements, and LinkedIn. So are these main channels how people find you, how the female founders find La Creme de la STEM? Through you, or are there any other main channels? So obviously you organize events as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
PR, events, visibility on LinkedIn. And
The newsletter. I have a newsletter.
Newsletter. And what else? How do you do marketing for more people, to expand the community and for people to find you?
That's a good question. That's what I'm trying to solve those days. For now, it's like very organic. So a lot of inbound, and I want it to be this way as well. Like, I want people to find me. I want them to get excited and then hop on a call with me, because those founding members are going to define what the company is going to look like. So I don't want to go out and sell and do like hard sell. I want them to just be attracted and then apply to join the community, and then obviously still sell at the end of the day, right? But at least they are coming from an inbound perspective. So the members I have so far, or people who follow me on LinkedIn, came to my events, definitely. Even I came to my events when I was doing events for this global nonprofit. So I have like some people that remember me from that. I think I give like a lot of a good impression on people. I was talking this morning to a female founder, and we saw each other at an event. And when she referred it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. I mean, I don't remember to be fully transparent, and I told her I don't remember the conversation we had. Because there was like a lot of people, but she remembered that I did a joke because it was like a sauna networking event, and I did a joke around like how I never did networking in a bikini before, and so she just remembered that. So when she told me that, I was like, yeah, that sounds like me. So I guess I leave an impression on people. I'm really great at connecting with people, building a relationship really fast, connecting with them on whatever aspect it is, and then I get like also a lot of referrals. I got like a lot of people who come to me because someone told them about me. Sometimes people I don't even know, like some people that are following me through the newsletter or through LinkedIn. I'm very authentic in my way of being, and I think that when you read my newsletter and when you watch this podcast or when you read my posts on LinkedIn, you can tell I'm the same person, and that's definitely something that people enjoy, and that's why I think I'm having all those success around media coverage and public speaking opportunities.
So you are very knowledgeable at community building. Do you give that advice to your community members to build community-led business? And how do you think it's important? Is it the future?
Yeah, I think it's the future. I think that building a community, building a personal brand is kind of becoming the same thing nowadays. I'm actually a limited partner in a VC fund that is investing in community-led entrepreneurs, betting on elephants, not unicorns. So I actually joined just before starting my own business. So that was great. It's very aligned to what I'm doing. I'm also part of a community of community builders. So it's great to be surrounded by other community builders who get to host events, build community online, in person, also have newsletters. Like it's great to have this group of people I can tap into that are really like-minded. So I'm really deep in that world of community building. And I think this is the future of any software companies or any type of business that you're doing. Building a community around you is just so necessary because you can call them like members, users, customers. Like at the end of the day, being able to maintain those relationships with those early adopters and people who use your product every single day and can be a champion and talk about it and be ambassadors is key. Just maintaining this connection is really important, and that's something I've seen recently with Clay. You know, it's like a CRM software they opened to members of the community. I've seen that happen with DM. That is an AI leveraging social media to answer questions for Gen Z women. They're also very heavy on the community aspect of things, so it's just easier. But it has to be, you have to be very intentional when you build a community. You cannot building a community is not enough because you have to sustain it. So you have to make sure people stay, because people will get excited, but then I think the real challenge is not to start, it's how do you maintain it, sustain it, and grow it with like-minded individuals. So that's really a challenge, I think.
You said elephants, not unicorns. Who are elephants?
Elephants.
Elephants, not unicorns.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. No worries.
What does it mean, an elephant? In that kind of sense.
Yeah, elephants have a thick skin, so they can survive longer, live longer than unicorns. It's easier to find an elephant than a unicorn. So it's just like a...
It's visible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a metaphor. It's the foundational essay of this VC called Park Rangers Capital, and the foundational essay is all about like what is the difference between an elephant and a unicorn? Because you know, unicorn have crazy valuation, you grow fast, you have to fundraise every single year. So that was true until relatively recently, but now if you want to have like a sustainable business or be profitable in the long term, it's better to bet on elephants. So the growth might not be as crazy as unicorns, but it's going to last longer, and at the end of the day, you're going to have better return on investments.
Wow, I didn't know that term. That's so fun. That's cool.
Yeah, I will send you the essay so you can put it in the notes. It's a really good one.
Nice. Um, you mentioned that, it's important to sustain the community and, make people stay. How is your retention doing? How do you make people stay? Why people stay at Creme de la Stem? And
One thing that I said earlier is just talking to the members and maintaining that connections, maintaining that relationship, making sure that you are constantly engaging them, whether it's through tagging them or inviting them to events or making sure they can attend. Just staying on top of mind is really important, and then connecting people with each other. So it's easier to say in a community when you have like some friends or when other community members become your friends, because you don't even think about it as a community anymore. You just think about it as a place where you will find your friends. So I think that's really key. Not everyone can lead a community. I see a lot of people trying to do it and they fail because they don't understand how much social capital you need to have and how much energy it takes. For me, it gives me energy. Like when I connect people with each other and when I see that they collaborate, it gives me energy. Other people might find it exhausting. I find energy in that. But it's not something that everyone has. You can learn, but it's also very intuitive. So the number one lesson is just keep going. I think that having a vision and having a single objective in mind, it's easy when you get started to go through so many directions. And while it's important to be able to pivot when the time is right, it's important to remember why you started this journey and where you're going, and just to maintain the cap. So that's really the number one thing, is just I keep going and just maintain my objective, which is building the largest community of female founders globally, and try to make it happen at my own pace, on my own terms, and be also very clear about what I want and don't want to make that happen. But just maintain that objective is sometimes challenging.
any other advice that you would like to give other fellow first-time CEOs?
Yeah, build your network. Build a network before you need it. I think it's really, really key. Ask for help. I don't have like an official board of advisor, but I have people on my board where I can just call them, and I don't do it enough. So just ask for help.
What is next for Creme de la Stem and Marion?
Yes, good question. So I'm gonna fly next week to go to South by Southwest in Austin. So I'm really excited. It's my first time in Texas. I'm a speaker at South by Southwest and a mentor. So I'm doing two things there. I'm so really, really excited. So it's both for me as an individual to experience, Texas and South by Southwest, just having fun, and for La Creme de la Stem, it's a good way to be exposed to a new market, generate new partnerships, find more founding members who are excited to join a group of like-minded individuals, and learn and grow together. So yeah, it's a big one.
What is your next event, and do you have regular meetups, or where can people find you? And is it like monthly, weekly?
Yeah, so with the community, it's weekly events online, so you have to be a member to go to those events. And then I try to organize events in person once a month. As a promotion tool, I did an event just 2 days ago that was Valentine's Day, a co-founder matching event. So that was really fun to see all those founders coming together, just chatting with each other, looking for the dream wing woman, or just getting exposed to different ideas. And I had like a great facilitator that supported me for that event, so that was great. So I'm working on more events in New York City, but I don't have anything set in stone right now. So hopefully over the next few days.
How can we find those events that are promotional? Are they free?
Yeah, so the events I use as a promotional tool, they're free just because it's just easier to attract people this way. And I've been organizing free events since I moved here, so I have a hard time thinking about paid events. And I announce everything through my newsletter. So lacremedelastem.substack.com. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn. I also share on LinkedIn a lot.
Yeah, I will leave all the links under the episode in the show notes where you can check the website, check the membership, where the next event is going to be, and also, of course, connect with Marion. Any resources you can recommend where other founders can learn something new?
Yeah, there is a book I recommend to every new founder is Venture Deals from one of the creator of Techstars. It's a really great book that explains like all the different terms, everything you need to know. There's like a lot of templates. They also have online classes that is free. They're like Start With Why of Simon Sinek. I think it's a really, really good book. For a good reason, and I think for first-time CEO it's really great because it helps you just put words on your passion and just understand why you're doing that and how to keep going.
Well, thank you very much, Marion. I had a blast talking to you. Keep going, keep crushing it. And I see why actually you get so much PR.
Thank you.
Because you are very visible, you are very approachable, good in communication, and obviously your career path helps you do that.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
And you guys, I will remind you that in 50 episodes, this is going to be a book where I'm going to share my reflections on my first-time CEO journey, and I'm going to share all the interviews there, and you will be able also to read them, to make your notes, to keep it and reread it again. And I'm excited about that. So keep watching my episodes, and soon I'm going to announce you will be able to pre-order a book and track my progress on how I'm writing it and how I'm making this work. And of course, again, if you want to streamline your operations, if you are a solopreneur, founder, first-time CEO, try our tool, Olympia. We provide entrepreneurs with AI teams to help them grow their businesses faster. And I'm gonna leave the link below if you want a one-on-one demo with me. So thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!